Good evening. Welcome to the Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Commissioner Saxon to lead us in the pledge. Please stand. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business will be to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is any statements or remarks from citizens. This is for anything not on tonight's agenda. Yes. State your name and address, please.
My name is Chuck Neely. I live at 1154 Plantation Drive. And I know that there's a plan for Dawson Park to come in for our property. And I just had some concerns about the traffic on Plantation Drive. They're showing 2 traffic circles. And it has to be answered tonight, but I just had some concerns about the traffic there. And if there was any other option to shift the traffic circles or maybe remove them off the drive as well. But that was my concern. So,
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Any statements or remarks from commissioners? Retired Educators Day was Sunday. We did issue a proclamation, and that was given to Ms. Bowles. Everybody who remembers Ms. Bowles to do. Also, congratulations to Parks and Rec. They are the District 7 Agency of the Year. And also Lisa DeBall received a special award, the Jeff Pruitt Inspirational Award. So congratulations to everybody there. We do have some board openings, Board of Elections, two spots, Board of Health, 1, Farmland Preservation, 2, Keep Oconee County Beautiful Commission, 2, and the deadline for application is November the 14th at noon. Go on our website to make application. Next item will be to approve the minutes from October 7th and October 28th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
A motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is a proclamation recognizing the inaugural class for the Oconee County 101. Mark?
Proclamation, Retired Educators Day, November 2nd. You said, got the wrong one?
The inaugural class.
Oh, I'm sorry, got the wrong one. Proclamation recognizing the inaugural class of Oconee County 101. Whereas Oconee County is committed to fostering an informed and engaged community by providing opportunities for residents to learn more about the functions and responsibilities of local government. And whereas Oconee County 101 was established to give citizens a behind-the-scenes look at county departments, services, and operations, thereby encouraging transparency, collaboration, and civic pride. And whereas the inaugural class of Oconee County 101 participants dedicated their time and energy to attend sessions, engage with county staff and leadership, and gain valuable insight into the workings of county government. And whereas the program provides a platform for participants to become better informed, more involved, and stronger advocates for the community in which they live and serve. And whereas the commitment, enthusiasm, and civic spirit demonstrated by the inaugural class set a positive example for future participants in the Oconee County 101 program. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oconee County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and commends the inaugural class of Oconee County 101 for their dedication to learning, service, and community engagement. And be it further resolved that the board extends its gratitude and appreciation to county staff who devoted their time, energy, and expertise to this program and to the building a stronger, more connected Oconee County, and does hereby proclaim November 4th, 2025 as Oconee County 101 Day in Oconee County, Georgia. Signed, John Daniel, Oconee County Board of Commissioners.
Congratulations. Oh, I'll come up, we'll get a picture.
That was way to go. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just have a moment of privilege, I'd like to again thank Oconee 101 and thank Diane Baggett for putting it all together. It's been a tremendous positive experience, I believe. This is a 10-week module. They spend approximately 3 hours once a week. It's a substantial commitment. But I believe staff also found it very worthwhile to have community members engage them and find out, interest within the civic operations of the county itself. So we're looking forward to rolling this out on an annual basis, and the future classes have a lot to live up to with the enthusiasm and engagement of the current first class.
Thank you. Next item is a second reading and consideration of text amendments to the Oconee County Alcohol Ordinance. Guy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second read you have before you this evening to the Alcohol Beverage Ordinance, Section 1 definitions. The proposed text amendment is to change the add to the definition of restaurant 1B, a minimum of 50 paid parking off-street parking facilities unless a UDC Article 1303 special exception variance to parking is granted by the Board of Commissioners, and then to change C from 50 patron seats to 30 patron seats. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Any questions for commissioners on this item? Do we have any public comment? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the text amendments to the Oconee County Alcohol Ordinance as submitted.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now move to our hearings and actions on zoning matters. The rezone petition shall be presented by county staff with no time limit. The applicant and those signing up to speak for the petition shall be allowed a total of 20 minutes, less the applicant's reserved time for rebuttal. Those signing up to speak against the petition shall also be allowed a total of 20 minutes. Public comment will then be closed, and the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. And then the board will take action as set out in the Unified Development Code. With that, we'll call our first case, which is rezone request P25-0043. This is rezone from AG to B2, 3.341 acres, Monroe Highway at Highway 53. There's also a special use permit P25-0044.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is P25-0043 and special use P25-0044. Amir and Connie to Hampton, applicants and owners. This is parcel A02013F, currently zoned AG in the Civic Center character area. And rezone P25-0043 requests a rezone of 3.341 acres from AG to B2 for a gasoline station with a convenience store and truck fueling. Number two, request for a waiver for incompatible use buffers adjacent to future development area as allowed under Section 810, UDC 810A. Special use request P25-0044 for a gasoline station with a convenience store and truck fueling. This is the recorded plat you have in your application packet, the concept plan with the proposed location, the architectural images submitted with the application, and staff recommends conditional approval of the rezone P25-0043 with our three standard conditions. Number 4, the building architecture shall meet or exceed the architectural elevations received March 4th, 2025 and have at least 80% of exterior wall surfaces of all buildings and structures, including a canopy, shall be either brick veneer, stone veneer, or glass, or combination thereof. Accent materials are allowed as indicated in UDC section 30603. Number 5, all vegetative screening, landscaping buffers shall meet the design standards as set forth in Article 8 of the Unified Development Code, except that all required landscape strips shall contain 1 tree per 25 lineal feet of landscape strip. Said trees shall be a mixture of evergreen and deciduous trees and of species that will attain a normal height at maturity of more than 40 feet. Number 6, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade materials matching the exterior of the principal structure with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. Number 7, an imitation wood vinyl fence 6 feet tall must be put around all the 3 sides of the development not facing US 78. Number 8, no truck parking signs are to be displayed on the site of the development. Number 9, an ingress-egress access easement shall be provided from the right-of-way of Georgia Highway 53 along and including the entrance drive. Interparcel access with a cross-access easement and stub outs to the west along the entrance drive shall be shown on the site development plans. The entrances on US 78 and Georgia Highway 53 shall serve future remaining uses for the remainder of parcel A 02013F. Number 10, a revised traffic impact analysis shall be submitted that meets UDC requirements as revised October 7th, 2025. The revised TIA shall be submitted and approved by Public Works and Planning and Code Enforcement prior to submission of the site development plans. The site development plans must incorporate improvements needed to meet the requirements of the revised traffic study or better at all intersections and access points as indicated in the revised UDC prior to approval by Public Works and Planning and Code Enforcement. Number 11, with the conditions of UDC Section 810A being met for the unnecessary buffer waiver along the subject property, the buffer waiver is approved as indicated on the concept plan dated August 25th, 2025. Staff recommendation for special use P250044 are the same 10 conditions that were listed in the rezone. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of both the rezone and the special use with staff recommendations. Thank you.
Eric Everhart.
Good evening. I am Eric Eberhard. I'm a partner with the law firm Eberhard and Hale in Athens. My address locally is 1110 Stonebridge Parkway here in Oconee County. Also with me this evening is a representative of my actual client, Quick Trip, that being Brian Mora, who is the project manager for this particular project. I'm pleased to stand before you on behalf of Quick Trip and the owners of this property with their proposed project for the intersection of Highway 78 and Highway 53 in our great county. The owners of the property are Connie and Amir Tahampton, as indicated before. They currently have a sales option or sales contract or option to sell is probably the most appropriate way to say it, with my precise client, that being Quick Trip Corporation. And Quick Trip has been authorized by the property owner, the Tahamptons, to present to you this request for rezone and this request for special use permit. The purpose here is to ask you to approve the request on both sides, both the rezone and the special use, in the exact manner that the planning department has recommended. We look forward to actually working with the individuals in the planning department. Quite frankly, to this point, they have been very educational, very helpful to us in this process. So we look forward to continuing that opportunity if you grant the requests that are being made for these rezones. As indicated by Mr. Herring, the current zoning for this property is agricultural. The future land use for this property is commercial. We are asking to go ahead and rezone this to B2, which is what's necessary for Quick Trip to move forward with the project. And then, of course, conditional to that, we're asking for that special use permit. One thing I just need to get out of the way, because I'm just legally obligated to, as I've indicated, we're asking that you grant our application, but we'd also provide notice that were it denied, it would violate the rights of the property owners under both the U.S. and Georgia constitutions, particularly but not limited to their equal protection and due process rights. We don't anticipate that being a concern, but it is something that has to be placed on the record, as you well know. With regard to this particular project, I'm not going to spend a lot of time unless you've got questions, but there is a larger tract that was shown. We are taking a portion of that larger tract. The larger tract is approximately 8.6 acres. The tract that would be purchased by Quick Trip is a 2.849 acre tract. And then there is an additional portion that has to be rezoned as part of this. It's a 0.92 acre tract that will remain owned by the current property owners, but they will be granting Quick Trip easement rights in order to have ingress egress onto their primary property. I may have confused you a little bit, but ultimately there'll be 3 tracts that come out of this. One's 5.337 acres, which will continue to be owned by the current property owner with its current zoning. Then a 2.849 acre tract, which Quick Trip is purchasing, would be rezoned by you guys here if you choose to B2, and then an additional 0.492 acres that will remain with the property owners, but rezoned for the purpose of the easements that's necessary for ingress egress. One of the things that came up before the Planning Commission, so I'm going to try to get ahead of it a little bit, is the requirement of the fencing. We understand and recognize the reason that the county and the planning department want fencing around our property between us and what remains, the remaining tract, while it remains undeveloped. And we're certainly okay with that. We've had conversations with the planning department about how this might affect the property owners moving forward when it comes time, if they choose to have that rezoned to B2. And we understand that at that point, some adjustments would be made and the fencing would no longer be necessary once that remaining tract becomes B2, but we're more than happy to comply with it for the time being, and the property owners are happy with both the understanding that it'll exist for the current time, and then would be something that could be addressed in a future rezone. We're not involved in any future plans for that remaining tract, but just candidly, we do anticipate that at some point, either the owners or somebody on their behalf is going to come to you and ask that tract be rezoned to B2. We understand that we'll have some requirements with our ingress egress to provide access to that remaining tract that's currently AG, and we'll do so. With regard to the truck fueling, we are asking, and our plans that are submitted show 2 bays for truck fueling. We will certainly follow all recommendations of the planning department for screening that from visibility. We understand that would be an interest to everybody involved. So with all that being said, unless there are particular questions that you may have that can be addressed this time, we would be asking, me on behalf of the property owners, Connie and Amir to Hampton, as well as my client who has an option to purchase this property, that being Quick Trip Corporation, for you to approve the rezone and for you to approve the special use to allow the truck fueling and convenience store. Thank you. I'd reserve any time for rebuttal. Any remaining times?
No one signed up to speak against. Does anyone wish to speak against this rezone request or the special use?
Hi, my name is Brenda Jennings. My property is next to where the proposed Quick Trip is. We already have a Strickland service station, Food Mart, where there's a lot of traffic right there already. And because of all the subdivisions that are being built along Highway 53, the traffic flow is already horrible. I can hardly get out of my driveway. And I'm sure the people that live at Oconee Crossing subdivision, they have the same issue. My mailbox has been knocked down 2 times from a brick mailbox from all the traffic. And this is much worse now with this Quick Trip coming into focus. So I'm hoping you're gonna give that consideration. The subdivision behind me, I think it's about 500 new homes being built there. So it's going to be quite a lot of traffic. You have a pure service station across the street on 78 and 53 as well. So I hope you give that consideration in approving that. More children are going to be in that area with all the new subdivisions coming in. So I don't think we need another service station that's going to cause a lot of traffic flow to come through. My home is right behind that property. So I'm hoping you're gonna consider that, which is a 5-acre lot. So I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak against? Any rebuttal?
Thank you. I'll be brief. We certainly appreciate Ms. Jennings' concerns. There is traffic in that area. And just for Ms. Jennings, as well as this Board of Commissioners, like to state, it's in the presentation, it's in our proposal. But we are going to be working with this county to try to improve that intersection and try to improve the traffic flow at that intersection. That's part of what's being asked of us through this process. If you recall, there was a requirement that we resubmit our traffic impact study to address some of the recent changes the county's made to its ordinances in relation to these types of intersections. And we have every intention to do that. We actually think that our presence is going to benefit the county with our willingness to do those changes and work with the county on that. It's important to remember that we're not a destination location. That's not what Quick Trip does. People don't get in their cars and just decide all of a sudden they're going to drive all over the county to come to Quick Trip, wherever it may be. We essentially collect from the traffic that's already present, meaning if it's on the roadway, we give them a place to have the option for different services that we might provide. Based on what we've already calculated, we don't anticipate that there's going to be a significant increase in traffic based on our presence. My numbers may be off a little bit. It's in the traffic impact study if you need to look at it. But the way I calculated it is maybe 2% on a daily basis we would be creating, which is certainly less than what a lot of other options might be for that property.
Just want to add, don't mind. There's no way to widen 78 and 53, especially Highway 53 that's coming into that right now. There's no way with Strickland being on that one corner, Quick Trip, if they're going to be on the other corner, there's no way to widen that street. There's no way. Like I said, you have the elementary school, the Dove Creek, the Deuce School. You got The other schools are right there on Highway 53 with all the buses come through, the traffic. Just come that way anytime between 6:30 and 8:30 and see how fast you could get from the school on Highway 53 just across 78. It's just impossible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll close public comments this time. Any questions from commissioners? No questions, we'll entertain a motion for rezone request.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone P 25-0043 Amir and Connie. Rezone from AG to B2, 3.341 acres, Monroe Highway, vacant, condition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0043 with 11 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll entertain a motion for the special use.
I'll make a motion to approve the special use P 25-0044 as presented.
We have a motion and second to approve special use request P 25-0044 with 10 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is rezone request P 25-0188 Burgess Jennings Mill Land LLC and J.G. Griffith Investments LLC. This is a request to modify conditions of an existing rezone P 24-0100, 2.93 acres at 1240 Research Parkway and 1520 Research Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is rezone P 25-0188 Burgess Jennings Mill Land LLC, applicant and owner. This is parcel C 01AV005 and C 01AV006. Currently zoned B2 in the regional center character area. The request is to combine lots 5 and 6 into one lot and revise the concept plan approval for a retail center to develop a 2-building shopping center with parking, driveways, utility, stormwater management, landscaping, lighting, and related items. This is the recorded plat in your application, the concept plan showing the combination of the 2 lots. Architectural images. And staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Number 4, an updated traffic impact analysis shall be submitted for review prior to submission of the site development plans to address comments from the traffic consultant. Required traffic improvements to meet the UDC shall be incorporated into the development plans for lot 5 and 6. Number 5, the Goddard Way Road along the frontages of lot 5 and 6 shall be updated to curb and gutter. Number 6, an administrative plat shall be submitted for review and approved, recorded prior to submission of the site development plans. Number 7, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade materials matching the exterior of principal structures with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. Number 8, no outdoor display or storage of merchandise shall be allowed, including seasonal items. This shall include seasonal items sold from a trailer. Number 9, no merchandise or displays are allowed to be stored in the parking or drive aisle areas. This includes any use of tractor trailers or shipping containers used for excess storage. Number 10, the total building square footage of all lots in Research Course subdivision shall not exceed 174,500 square feet. And the following uses, as shown in your packets, are allowed by right in the BUs that are allowed by right in the B2 zoning district shall not be allowed. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the same conditions. Thank you.
Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. I'm Ken Bell, Bell and Company. And we prepared all of the documents that you'll be acting on this evening. Bell and Company has been in Oconee County, I'm proud to say, for over 35 years now. And I've lived in Oconee County for right at 40 years. And I'm proud of how Oconee County has grown over the years, as we were talking earlier. And I feel like a native-born Oconee County resident, but I was born in Rome, Georgia, so not too far away. But I'm pleased to be here and make this presentation on this project this evening. I want to thank the staff for what I consider to be a very favorable staff report on this rezone request. I really don't have a lot to say about it. There are 10 conditions, and I only want to take a little bit of time to talk about 2 of those conditions. And all of the rest of those, we're more than happy to agree with. Number 4 and number 5 are those 2 conditions. Number 4 talks about an updated traffic impact analysis. And I want to talk about these 2 items because I'm a little surprised that these 2 items are in the staff report, in that we turned in an updated traffic study that was dated August of this year. So the traffic study that we turned in is just now 60 days old. And in that traffic study, the traffic engineer assessed 7 different intersections and found that there were no improvements needed on only one of those 7, which happened to be Virgil Langford Road at the intersection of Research Boulevard. And that particular intersection, the traffic engineer called for adding a central left turn lane so that after development of the entire project, and there is much more traffic on Virgil Langford Road, there's no problem making right turns. But according to the traffic engineer, there would be problems. That it would operate at less than a level of C, which is the magic number. So he specifically called that intersection would need to be approved with a central left turn lane. So in that traffic study is the 3rd traffic study that we've turned in on this project. And each of those traffic studies has cost $15,000. And we're now at $45,000. I'm just questioning why there needs to be another traffic impact analysis submitted and push that up to $60,000. The second comment, Goddard Way Road along frontage of lots 5 and 8 shall be updated to curb and gutter. The reason why I'm surprised by that is we've been working on this project for 5 years. We basically went through an approval process with this same plan. We're not changing that part of the plan right now. We intentionally did not plan to have curb and gutter on those existing streets because when you have curb and gutter, you actually prevent the water from getting to the road shoulder where it can infiltrate. And the infiltration of this project, we're required by law to reduce the amount of runoff. And so from day one, we've not planned to add curb and gutter to any of the roads except the new road that was put in to serve lots 1 through 7. And there are, in fact, no access easements platted on the other streets. So there would be no driveways to even access the street where the suggestion is that we put curb and gutter in. And I do want you to just take a moment to think about what I just said, is if you put, roads that have been built for the last 200 years in a rural cross-section is a crowned road, a shoulder, and a swell on both sides to take the water to the low points of the road. So that's the way these roads were built, and that's how we had planned for them to remain. And if you change that, then we're going to a situation where the water can't run off the road. It's going to go into a gutter. Then the gutter is much faster going to take that water to a low point. Not to mention the fact that you can't allow but a certain number of feet to build up in that gutter before you got to put in a drainage structure. So it's not just a matter of putting in curbs, it's a matter of putting in curbs requires then putting in a drainage system that's not there today. And it's not just the money, it's the fact that we're required by law to not allow a higher rate of runoff to occur at the property lines. And that's going to be hard to achieve if you put in curb and gutter that actually speeds up the water running off. So I just wanted to call your attention to those two items. And if possible, eliminate those two items from the approval. That's all that I have, but I'll be happy to take any questions that any of you may have about this request. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak for the rezone? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Any questions from commissioners?
Mr. Herring, did you address item number 4 and number 5 for us, please? Number 4, I understands traffic impact study. So, I mean, that's something we're doing for sure now. The one that he currently has, does that meet the requirements of?
The use has changed. So changing from the medical office to a retail, that just needs to be captured in a revised traffic study. So it's not a whole new traffic study, but it is a revision to one.
Okay. So you're saying that he could revise the current one to address any of the changes?
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the one about curb and gutter, can you explain what your thoughts are there?
Sure. My understanding is that the ditches that were there were modified during construction. And so there's very little ditch left. And so the idea would be putting curb and gutter, you know, if you're going to take the ditch section away. And that really is coming also from Public Works in that, you know, this area is more of an urban area, you know, redesigned urban area. Capturing that in an urban setting is more appropriate instead of the rural section that Ken was mentioning, right?
So would the 1 foot no access have any impact on that?
No.
Okay. So it's just about water flow?
That's right.
Okay. So in that area, since you don't have storm drain and no inlets, then that means you would have to basically tear the street up in order to.
That have to be addressed as well. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So during the analysis, did you guys actually talk with anybody on the site about the ditches and?
I think I think Public Works reviewed the ditches in that area.
Okay. So do you think it was under construction and maybe they just hadn't finished?
They appear to be finished, but maybe there was more to do. And maybe they'll put the ditch sections back when they develop this property. But in the current shape, a curb and gutter needs to be there.
So do you think an alternate to that would be that they put the ditch sections back the way that they were initially so that the water would flow?
As long as it can be approved by Public Works, yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Jody, you'd like to add anything to that?
No, I think that's fine. As long as the cross section is reestablished either with a ditch or curb and gutter, and we can address the runoff coming off the street. I think we can work with that.
So they do have curb and gutter on one part of the property, which is where the driveways are coming into.
Right.
But then the backside, which you won't have a driveway in it to impede flow or anything like that, looks like it could be handled with ditches.
Right. Yeah, I think either one could work.
So the one section in front of the Goddard daycare, they've already graded it and sodded it, and it looks like it was flowing without any problems. Okay.
Any other questions from commissioners? No. They ready for a motion? Not yet, not unless they got a question for you. You got a question?
Yeah, Mr. Bell, if you want to come up and maybe address that as well, as far as the ditch sections.
Well, there are two things I need to address. The updated traffic study that was turned in actually includes these two lots. It also includes the hotel. It also includes all of the other lots. It shows all of the square footage that are planned to be built on every lot in the project. So it's already there. That's why I was confused about why another one was being asked for. It's all in that traffic study.
As retail? Those two lots are shown as retail? on your
They're
property?
already in there.
Shouldn't take much to revise it then.
Like I said, it's 30 days old. We incorporated every bit of that into it. So someone missed it. The traffic study definitely shows it. There's really nothing to be revised. And as far as the swales are concerned, the construction is not finished out there. They're actually putting sidewalks in, sidewalk forms. And of course, you have to excavate to build the forms. And then once the sidewalks are poured and completed, then you have to backfill those sidewalks. They have to be set at the right grades. So all of that is in various stages of completion. On some parts of the project, such as the Goddard Day School, all of the sidewalks have already been installed. Sod has been laid. All of the ditches have been recreated, and they are very attractive once they're recreated. Now, in other parts of the project where it is not that far along, but it will be relatively quickly, it looks like it's a work in progress. So you're not looking at the finished product. And really the whole reason for keeping the roadside swales is you wind up with more green space in the project and something that works better than the curb and gutter does. That's the entire reason for it. Thank you.
Harry, can I make this, ask you? You seem to be at a stalemate with the traffic study. But what your staff is saying is that it's not including.
There's still some outstanding comments on that traffic study that was submitted. And so I think the easy answer would be to address any outstanding comments with that condition. And that way, if it's in there, then we're square, right? I'm fine with that amendment.
But if it's not, then there is.
Then there'll be some revisions that need to be made. That's right.
So the suggestion is change condition number 4 to address outstanding issues on the current.
Any
traffic
outstanding
study.
comments? Yeah.
And
And
then,
possibly modify that report to address your issues.
Yes, sir.
and then on the curb and gutter, the condition would be to restore.
The ditch sections as previously were graded that meets public works standards, and not to install curb and gutter.
And we're ready for a motion then.
Quick question. So it seemed to me, I heard that you're putting sidewalks in and your ditches are basically done. That's what I think you said. So you're seeing no more work to be done on that area. And currently, it's being said that they don't meet what we need to see.
Need to add something, guy?
So through the development of lot 5 and 6, they'll submit a development permit to us and we'll review that and we'll make sure those ditch sections match. So we'll have that covered.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Saxon, just so, and I wrote out there to look at all this. So lots 5 and 6 is vacant lots. They haven't been graded or finished at all. So later on, then during the process, the final part of the process, Public Works will go back and make sure it's done the way it should be.
We're ready for a motion, I believe.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone P 25-0188 with the 10 conditions and the modifications on 4 and 5 that we had stated earlier.
Got a total of 11.
Is it 11? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's true.
Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve rezone request P 25-0188 with 11 conditions with the modifications to 4 and 5 as discussed. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Our next item will be a variance request P 25-0047, Gerald Goolsby. This is reduce the rear setback 1.0 acres, 1230 Grayson Lane residential.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is variance P 25-0047, Stanley and Gail Goolsby. This is parcel C 01068G in the AR zoning suburban neighborhood character area. And the variance for a metal accessory building constructed without permits from Oconee County Unified Development Code Section 410-01C1 and Table 4.1 to allow an accessory structure to encroach 32.6 feet into the rear 40-foot setback. This is a recorded plat in your package. The concept plan submitted, a slightly larger version showing the constructed building 7.4 feet from the property. Architectural renderings of the existing structure. The site in 2023 prior to construction and January 4/24 with the structure in place. The staff recommends, based on the standards and limitations for special exception variance approval, this request does not meet all the necessary conditions to grant a special exception variance, as the hardship was created by the property owner with the construction of an unpermitted structure. Staff recommends denial of the request as the applicant did not indicate why the setback requirements could not be met. Thank you.
Gerald Goolsby.
Well, good evening. I'm Jarrell Goolsby, oldest son of Stanley Goolsby, the property owner. I'm here requesting a variance simply because we figured out and understand that the setback of the rear was different than what we were told from the building company that constructed the building. My dad was, the building was put there because my dad has a 1970s diminished barn that's on the property that he used for storage. And my brother and I felt like the property, it was not safe for him going in and out for his age. He's 75 years old. So we thought we were doing him a favor by putting the building there so he can put the storage in there and we can take the building down. But by what we've seen, we noticed that the setback is 40 and not 5. So since then I've complied and I've gotten everything needed for the variance and went through the process. And it has taken a little longer simply because the process had to go through environmental first, and they needed another sketch. They needed a level 3 soil test. And then later on, I found out they needed a level 4 soil test. During those times, I was actually not in town able to assist my dad with that stuff. So when he was trying to make the appointments, every company was kind of busy, and it took 3 months to get there, 2 months to get there. But I'm requesting the variance simply because they told us that it was a 5-foot setback for the back, and it's actually more than that. And that is the reason why I'm requesting variance.
Thank you. Ashley, you want to speak? Anyone else wish to speak for the variance request? Lisa Clay?
Hello. I have lived on this property since 1979. I moved to Oconee County when I was 11 years old. Shortly after we built our house, Stan and Gail Goolsby built their property behind us. Lived there for 30, 40 years, never had any problems at all. Several years ago, his son and wife, and I guess son, I'm not really sure, moved into their single-family dwelling. And that's when the issues started occurring. He cleaned off a lot of the property. He started building a shop, a huge and 2-bay industrial shop that's not really suited for this type of environment and subdivision. And it wasn't permitted. Then he proceeded to build a deck, a very unsightly large deck. And he has a pool in front of it. So we built a 10-foot fence to try to cover some of that up. And it still stands 10 foot above our fence. But we are currently concerned that the structure, and he doesn't own this property. His parents own this property. We are currently concerned that the structures decrease our property values. We are concerned with Mr. Goolsby's history of not following the law and obtaining the required permits before he builds any structures, that he will continue to build more unpermitted structures or items on his parents' 1-acre property that currently has a single-family dwelling, a shed, a barn, 2-bay industrial garage that is not appropriate, like I said, for this type of neighborhood, a pool, a tall deck. We are requesting you uphold the permit requirements set by Oconee County and require Mr. Goolsby to move his building and unpermitted driveway that also, according to the surveys that were done and on your website, are on Gary and Lynn Jones's property line and ease over past the property line into their property. That they move this building and unpermitted driveway to a location where they meet the current permit requirements. And also I'm interested in knowing how much can be built and how many buildings and objects can be built on a 1-acre property in a residential subdivision, because I couldn't find that information anywhere. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
James Clay?
I'm James Clay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'd like to say I concur with Mr. Herring's findings that his staff recommends denial of the variance based on the facts that Mr. Goolsby knew or should have known what the rules are, especially being in his profession. And it was just a blatant violation of what's set for all residents of Oconee County. And I think fairness is in order in this case. And with that said, I'm no longer a resident of Oconee County, and I'm here in support of the neighbors and my family as well. And I thank you for your time, and God bless.
Ms. Jones?
I'm Lynn Jones. I live at 1051 Old Hodges Mill Road, right next to this property. And my main complaint is their driveway is right on the borderline of my property. And I also would like it be rejected, their variance not be approved.
Anyone else wish to speak against?
But, the shop, the deck, the driveway, the pool, none of that, he got permits for none of that. And when the county came out and told him to quit, to stop on the pool deck, until he got his permit, he continued to work on it. So I'm really concerned about his respect for our laws in Oconee County and, you know, what our permits. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Mr. Gilswell, you got any rebuttal time? Come on up.
All right. First of all, I would like to say that there was a permit submitted for the deck, and it has been passed and approved. It has been inspected and checked off, and it was completely fine. What we're here for is the actual building, and the building is not an industrial building. It doesn't have power, it doesn't have water, it doesn't have anything. It's just basically for my father's storage. And during the time that the building was getting put up, that was during the time that my father was recovering from a stroke. And when he talked to the company, he actually relayed to what they said, because actually we would just pay for it for him. He relayed to what they said, and I said, well, you know, if that's what they said, I mean, I'm pretty sure they know. But it is not an industrial building. It's just a storage building. It's a 24 by 35 building with no power, no electricity. And speaking on the gravel driveway, it's just a gravel driveway. It is not interfering with Mrs. Jones' property at all. It's on the other side of the property line. And we had a survey done, and they actually have the stakes where the property line resides, and it's on the other side of the property line. And it's not a concrete driveway or anything like that. It's just a small driveway to access a storage building. And that's pretty much.
With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. We'll open up to questions from commissioners.
Mr. Herring, were there additional permits secured for the other buildings that were there or other accessories?
I don't know the answer to that question. The older existing accessory structures,
Right.
I don't know off the top of my head for those. The deck was secured after we stopped and requested that permit to be applied for.
Okay. So the garage itself, there was no permit issued for that?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And do you have any information about the driveway? Does it cross over property?
I don't have any information about that. We did not receive a complaint on the driveway.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me ask, make sure I understand. The metal building shop, that was built without a permit.
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's right. We received the complaint, investigated, and it was determined there was no permit issued for that.
Mr. Gilswell, can I ask you a question? That's correct. You did not secure a permit before you started constructing the metal building?
And no, my father didn't. And simply because the company said that because it's smaller than 1,000 square foot, that we didn't have to have a permit. And that's why, and I told my father, I said, well, if they said that, then I'm pretty sure it's true. And considering that, you know, the neighbors, they have a shop on their property, which is 5 foot away from the property line in the rear also. And they told my dad that is one of the reasons why that we put it 7 foot, because the other buildings are 5 foot away. So if we do 7 foot, it gives us some leeway for the back. And the only complaint is that it's not the original setback in the rear. And the property that it's affecting, the neighbors have no issue with it. And it's not affecting, it's the setbacks for the side are 15, and those are within the guidelines. And it's just the rear that's affecting it, and that's the reason I was asking for the variance. And the structures that are there prior to my parents buying the land, they were there in the 70s or whenever before. And I mean, we have no control over those. But I did apply and get the permit for the deck. And like I said, that was taken care of, and it was just the building. It was just the storage building.
Not dealing with deck, sidewalk. Let me ask you that, you're in the fire service, right?
Yes, sir.
And I commend you for that. But you do know that rules change over decades, whether it's, if you go to a fire scene, there are old buildings that didn't come up to code, and they may have a fire because of that. So, I mean, you're aware that things change. So if there was an old building there back in the 60s, how they built that would not probably be correct nowadays.
Right.
So wouldn't it be prudent on your part to check before you even vault or pour the concrete, make sure about permits?
And I mean, you're correct. And yes, that has crossed my mind since this has all happened, and lesson learned is for that. But like I said, I mean, we were told, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of construction as far as like property lines and stuff like that, especially if they told my father that that was a setback and based off, the surroundings. But yes, I completely understand that now.
I've been around a little bit. So some folks that may try to sell you something would tell you just about anything.
Yeah, I have.
It's like used cars. They shine up and they smell good, but transmission shot. So that's the issue I've got with it is that there was no check.
Right.
Make sure, that you either do or you don't have to get a permit.
And is that it? Yes, sir. I was gonna say, and the reason that, like I said, the reason that it was built is because the condemned barn that was there in the 60s, and it's not built so say like that barn. It's just built so there's safety reasons as far as him going in and out, putting stuff in there, going in and out because it's so condemned.
We'll ask. Okay. But no, I understand.
Yeah, I got some questions for you. Just clarification on a couple of the items. And I know I'm gonna ask the question about the pool deck and the gravel road. Then we'll get to the building itself. The deck itself, he started building everything, and then y'all went out and he got reported, and y'all went out and he came and got his approval for that.
Yes, sir.
Is there a setback for the driveway from the property line?
No, sir.
None for that. So he could just put that in no matter what.
Right.
Okay. And on the building itself, I appreciate you. Mr. Gooseby, I got a question for you on the building. Earlier you stated that, you thought it was 5, but it ended up being 40. Where'd you get the 5 from? You just guessed the 5 or?
Oh, no, sir. I actually looked if you look on the website, this is after the fact, that after the construction or the construction people said that it was 5 because they told us it was 15 on the right, 15 on the left, and the rear was 5, and then the front was 30. And I'm not sure where they got that from, but they told my father that, if you can look at the neighbors' buildings, on the rear, they're 5 foot away from the rear of the property line. And I'm thinking maybe that's what they went by. But then after the fact, that's when I went through and seen where if you look at it says that an accessory structure is, a setback of 15, but if the accessory structure is not connected by a breezeway to the primary structure, then something about it's 40 foot based off your zone because it's considered part of the primary structure now. And so I think maybe it was a little confusion with that. Maybe I'm not real sure, but they stated that, you know, basically it could, because it wasn't part of, I guess, the structure, and it was less than 1,000 square foot, that as long as you do the side setbacks and do the right setback for the rear, it will be completely fine.
Mr. Guzman, I do have another question. There's a shed that's on the, looks like on the eastern side of the property that's over the setback line. When was that shed constructed?
Probably in the 80s. It was brought there in the 80s. It's been there for years. My parents have lived there over 30 years. And I mean, I remember as a kid, 6 years old, it being there. And so it's been there. That and the barn has been there since then and before then.
So where was your barn located previously?
It's still there. It's right in the front, but we didn't tear it down because we were transferring stuff over. But we have a permit in motion once we get everything transferred over to tear it down so it opens up space. The health and environmental actually said, you know, we're allowed and have enough room for the building. It's just a setback.
Okay. So the one that you're calling the old barn is the metal shed?
No, the old barn is the old barn. It kind of sits at an angle with that looks like it's kind of falling in.
Yep. Okay.
It's right in between the little accessory building and the new metal building.
Got one question.
Yes, sir.
If the older building, what is the distance to the property? Yeah.
To the rear. It's a little bit more closer to the house. It's probably 80 feet, 70 feet. But it's kind of the old one. It
wouldn't be an issue about this.
I'm pretty sure because it's not at the rear of the property. It's on the kind of on the side, and the side setbacks are 15, and it's probably 30, 40 feet from the side. It's just an eyesore and very old. So it's just. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. Yeah. By the time the other sheds were built, the setbacks were 5 feet.
That's right. Yeah, the setback changed from 5 to today's setbacks in 2006 with the adoption of the UDC.
And then was the building complete when the complaint came in?
Substantially.
And the stop work order was issued?
Yes, sir.
Did the construction continue?
I believe it was finished up. I'm assuming that's the case over the weekend because the complaint came in on a Friday. And the property owner was noticed and told to apply for a permit. And then the stop work order was posted on Monday.
The work order, the permit was applied for and denied based on the setback?
It wasn't a complete application because we didn't have environmental health approval, nor obviously the variance for the setback.
But it's finished.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, before you sit down, can you pull up the drawing, the very last one in our packet? And basically as a survey of the property. That's it.
This one?
Yep. So the one that says metal shed that's in the middle, I'm assuming that's the existing barn. that he keeps talking about.
To be proposed to be torn down.
Yeah, correct. So the wood deck and the pool is inside of the setback. So are those in violation?
No, they can be within 10 feet of the property line.
Okay, all right. And so the pump, I'm assuming that's part of the pool?
Yes, yes.
And then the well house is on the far corner?
And it's exempt.
And that was existing?
Existing and the code is exempt from setbacks.
Okay. Did environmental health have anything to say about that?
Environmental health shows a 100-foot buffer from that well house.
Okay. Because I believe since it's that close to the property line that they would have to, if anybody in the southern part wanted to do any kind of construction of a septic field or anything, they would have to get a variance from that.
Okay.
Because that well is supposed to be 50 feet from the property line.
Okay.
So basically the metal building should be at the dashed line,
Yes, sir.
the back of it, at least.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Go for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to deny variance B 25-0047. Gerald Goolsby reduce the required rear setback 1 acre, 1230 Grayson Lane, Leslie.
Second.
We have a motion and second to deny variance request P 25-0047. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is variance request P 25-0133. Ramon Nunez. This is reduce the minimum required off-street parking space 73 to 34 to add an outdoor seating area that would require an additional 5 parking places. This is at 2131 Hog Mountain Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is variance P 25-0133, Bandit Properties, Temez Barbecue, applicant owner. This is B 06005A, currently zoned B1 in Civic Center Character Area. And it's a special exception variance request from UDC section 60401B and table 6.1 to reduce the minimum required off-street parking spaces from 73 to 34 to add an outdoor seating area that would require an additional 5 parking spaces. This is a recorded plat in your application packet, the concept plan, and the slightly larger version showing the existing parking spaces and the proposed outdoor seating area. Staff recommends, based on the standards and limitations for special exception variance approval, this request does not meet all those necessary conditions to grant the special exception variance, as a hardship would be created by the applicant by the expansion of the existing nonconforming site. Staff recommends denial of the request. However, if the board chooses to grant the variance to reduce the required parking from 73 to 34 spaces, staff recommends the following conditions. Number 1, development design and structure shall meet or exceed the standard indicated on the concept plan, narrative, representative architectural sketches, and other documents submitted with the variance application and attached here too. This condition shall not construe approval of any standard that is not in conformity with the UDC. Number 2, the proposed outdoor seating area shall be limited to 18 foot by 28 foot or 504 square feet. Number 3, no existing parking space may be used for outdoor seating or a loading area. Number 4, there shall be no amplified sound generated in the outdoor seating area. Number 5, no other outside events shall be allowed, and the applicant shall not erect any temporary structures or tents outside of the approved outdoor seating area. Number 6, there shall be no outside cooking facilities allowed that are not in compliance with UDC standards. Number 7, the applicant shall submit plans within 30 days and complete the construction of an enclosed cooking area within 6 months of approval to remain in operation. The temporary certificate of occupancy may remain in effect until the additional construction is complete. Thank you.
Come on, Senior.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me a moment to speak on this matter. I think I heard that y'all changed the ordinance earlier today for the required parking for the restaurants. Is that correct? Yes. That's one of the main reasons that I applied for this, because we weren't allowed to get our alcohol license because we didn't have 50 parking spaces. So as far as the sitting area goes, it's just for us to have somewhere to sit outside for our customers that we already serve every day. Also, there was, I think I read somewhere in the notes that we were gonna take over the loading area, which I'm totally okay if we make the sitting area smaller. I had put 4 picnic tables on the plans, but I'm okay if we need to reduce it to just 2. And there was a part in the report that I got that said that our building is 3,000 square feet, 3,078 square feet. That is correct. That's the actual size of the building, but we only use about 2,200 square feet, the kitchen and the dining area. The other 800 square feet is just unfinished basement underneath the old auto bay. There's nothing in there. There's just like a mechanical room, and we store stuff in, but there's not access to the customers or anywhere to sit down or anything like that. So that would bring down the amount of parking spaces that we need for the outdoor seating. I just wanted to bring that up, that we're not using that 800 square feet. Also, as far as for the sound, or the amplified sound and all that, I'm totally okay with that. We're not trying to open up a club or anything like that outside. But other than that, the only other concern that I have is the outdoor shed, the smokehouse, because of where I have my smoker at. The health department said that they're totally okay with what we have now, the setup we have now, which is just our smoker with a temporary railing that goes around it to keep people away from it so nobody gets hurt or burned or anything like that. They are not asking me to build anything. They actually like it that it's open. And for me, it's a safety thing, because if it's open, the smoke doesn't get trapped in, and it's more ventilation. It's a lot easier to clean, just for numbers of reasons that it's good the way it is for me. As far as the code and, what has to be done and how it needs to be done, I'm okay with, coming up with some kind of conclusion so we can build a smoke shack if I need one. I know that I was told that I might need to do 4-sided brick building to cover the smoker. And my biggest concerns is the smoke inside of there. With my employees in there working and keeping up the fire and stuff, if it's 4-sided brick enclosed or maybe out a window or a door, it's gonna be, one's gonna be really hot in there, and the other is gonna be hard to breathe because of all the smoke. But I'll be more than willing to build something with a brick veneer or maybe a knee wall, and then put up some screens to cover the smoker and allow ventilation to go through. I'm not sure if I'm even supposed to be talking about the smoke shack today, because I know mostly was about the outdoor seating area. But I'll be willing to do with whatever recommendations you guys have for me as far as approving or denying the seating area. Basically, what I was trying to get approved was the parking variance so we can get the alcohol license. So because we're struggling right now to stay open, so we figured if we could provide more sales, then it would probably help us in the long run.
Thank you.
All right.
Moan Junior. Okay, Erica. Does anyone else wish to speak for the variance request? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll close public comments. Any questions from commissioners?
I got. Hope it won't roll in 2 or 3, but the issue with the smoker, that's off the limits, isn't it? I mean, that's not,
Right.
there's no smoker gonna be there unless they come back for a variance or something like that.
That's right. The overlay would require that it be a bricked, 80% bricked.
That's already.
With a pitched roof, that's
That's
right.
real.
That's part of the code currently, yeah. So that would require another variance if there was a desire to vary that.
You
condition.
understand that? There's no smoker unless you come back with a variance.
Correct. I'm
Got
supposed
that?
to apply for a variance to come back to get that approved, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
But
You-
meanwhile,
You can't have a smoker out there now.
well, there was, believe that it was approved temporary till we get to the variance part.
Well, there's no guarantee on the variance.
Right, but we've been granted a temporary,
Is that correct?
operating license.
Is that correct?
So a TCO was issued for that, for the smoker to remain until such time as a variance was applied for. Yes, sir.
That's good enough.
That's fine. Yes,
Let me ask about the building facade. All right, he suggested that, you know, he have some type of screens or
sir.
whatever.
Right.
Would that be acceptable if everything else was 80% brick?
We'd have to go through that variance process for that, a separate process,
So-
not tonight.
Okay, but that would, so I guess as far as designing of that, he couldn't have windows there that he could open and then still be in compliance with his 80% brick.
If there was a way, yes, sir. If he could provide 80% brick on all four sides, however the design would be, that would be fine.
But don't you typically subtract out windows and doors from the,
Those are part of, yes, sir, that's correct. You do. That's right. Yeah.
so any additional that was not windows and doors would have to be 80% brick?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Any other questions on the variance request?
Yes, hey, Guy, I just need to understand what he was talking about, the 800 foot that he's not using, 800 square feet he's not using downstairs. How's that affect the parking? I'm trying to understand it completely. I've been out there
Yeah.
a couple times trying to
So
understand.
our understanding is that there's a cooler down there so it is being used, you know, for storage and that type of thing. So it would apply. Okay.
No other questions? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, approve variance P 25-0133, Ramon Fuentes, reduce the minimum required off-street parking spaces from 73 to 34, 53% reduction to add an outdoor seating area that would require an additional 5 parking spaces, 0.94 acre, 2131 Hog Mouth Road, partial.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve variance request P 25-0133 with 7 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now move to variance request P 25-0183, Marvin Gross. This is to place a guest house in the front yard, 2.38 acres at 1050 Skipstone Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, variance P 25-0183, Marvin and Felina Gross, actually owners. This is parcel D 01B002B. Currently zoned AR in the Country Estates Character Area. And special exception request from Article 3, Section 35102C to place a guest house in the front yard. This is the recorded plat. The concept plan showing the double frontage, the main frontage Skipstone Drive and the other frontage along Barnett Shoals. And this is the concept plan, architectural renderings, and staff recommends conditional approval with our 1 standard condition. Number 2, there shall be no driveway access to Barnett Shoals. Guest house shall utilize the existing residential driveway for parking and access connecting to Skipstone Drive. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the owner or the agent of the owner.
Yes. I'm Marvin Gross, and I'd be happy to answer any questions in relation to this variance.
All right, thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to speak for? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll go and close public comments. Any questions from commissioners? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve P 25-0183, Marvin and Felina Gross, place Guest house in front yard, 2.3 acres, at 1050 Skipstone Drive, residential. How many conditions?
2.
Two conditions.
Second.
A motion is second to approve variance request P 25-0183 with 2 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Call our last variance request, P 25-0184. Drew Joyner, this is to place an accessory building with a floor area greater than 144 square feet in the front yards, 0.94 acres at 1181 Meriwether Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, variance P 25-0184, Drew and Sterling Joyner, applicant owner. This is C01I as 018D. Currently zoned R1 in the regional center character area. And again, this is a special exception request for section 41001C2 to place an accessory building with a floor area greater than 144 square feet in the front yard. This is a recorded plat you have in your packet, concept plan, a slightly larger version showing the proposed location of the pool house in front of the pool. These are the architectural renderings submitted with the application, and staff recommends conditional approval with our 1 standard condition. Thank you.
Mr. Joyner?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Drew Joyner, property owner at 1181 Meriwether Drive. Thank you for being here. Don't really have much to add other than what the staff recommended, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for? Does anyone wish to speak against? With that, we'll close public comments. Any questions from commissioners? We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve variance P 25-0184, Drew and Sterling Joyner, place an accessory building with a floor area greater than 144 square feet in the front yard, 0.94 acres, 1181 Meriwether Drive, residential with the 1 condition.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve variance request P 25-0184 with 1 condition. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the bid award for the Collin Ferry Road, Assendale Road roundabout project.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This item of business is the bid award for ITB 2609-005, construction of a roundabout at Collin Ferry Road and Assendale Road, and then also establishing the project budget. 12 bids were received. CMC Inc. was the lowest responsible bidder with a bid of $636,530. The project budget would include the construction cost, NPDS permitting, material testing, geotechnical inspections, construction administration, right-of-way acquisition, and then also in discussion with Melissa after I did the agenda request, I would like to include the real property cost for the right-of-way in the budget amendment in the budget, and that was estimated at $10,000. So, and a construction contingency, so the total amended project budget would be $724,172.50. That real property cost would have to come back to the board for a budget amendment, and we were trying to incorporate it into the project as part of that. Public Works recommends approving the bid award for CMC Inc. for $636,530, establishing a project budget of $724,172.50, authorizing the chairman to execute necessary documents, and approving for future budget amendments up to the contractor, up to the budget amount for the life of the project. The financial impact is the T-Splosh would be $536,573.87. And the LRA grant fund from DOT, Georgia Department of Transportation, would be $187,598.63.
Any questions for Jody on this one?
I got one. On the return radiuses on the right turns, what is your radius so that
the one on the plan or, I know that the questions came up and we are reviewing those to, look at them, make sure they're meeting the minimum standard.
I know that, you know, all of our county roads are no through truck, but this this intersection is gonna have a lot of trucks because there's log trucks, there's poultry trucks that come through there on a regular basis. And so we need to make sure that the return radiuses will handle tractor trailers.
Yes, sir. We will take care of that.
Let me elaborate a little, if I may. With my limited knowledge now in engineering that's been acquired. So these were originally modeled as rural roundabouts with the WB50 trucks, with the idea that they would have some additional built-up shoulders around them to accommodate the WB67s, which are the 53-foot with a larger wheelbase. What we are going to do, we're also going to do this with the Union Church roundabout at the same time in order to accommodate the larger trucks that go through there from time to time. The splitter islands are going to use type 1 curbing instead of the type 7 curbing that allows some mountable on there. And then we're also taking the radii to make sure that they, we're probably going to do another 3 to 4 feet on the exterior to move them more to 65 to 80 feet on the radius on the right turn so that they can accommodate those larger vehicles. It's not a common vehicle that moves through there, but they do occur. So in order to accommodate those, we'll have the mountable splitter islands and the larger built-up shoulders with either a truck blister or the larger radius pushing out.
Okay. With that said, I know we've already got one that's built, and so we're going to have some modifications to that one as well to accommodate the WB 67.
So we're watching that one right now. We're looking at what the shoulder impacts are, and then at the end, if we decide just from an evaluation to go back in and add some more to those right turn movements, we'll do that.
Okay. I've already gotten some pictures on that where it's impacting it. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment on this item? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid award on Ferry Road, Astorville Road roundabout.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now it's time for our first quarter FY 26 financial update.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening. This is our first update for the FY 26 fiscal year. So for July, August, and September. And we'll look at the general fund, revenues and expenditures, capital projects and expenditures in the capital fund, sales tax collections and projects, as well as our water resources, revenues and expenses. So starting with the general fund, the main operating fund for Oconee County, first quarter revenues at $5.3 million, right at 11.69% collected. Including in those revenues are our local option sales tax, strong title ad valorem tax collections, as well as our LMIG grant funding for the fiscal year. So you can see here revenue by source. The first column shows you our amended budget, and the year-to-date numbers are through our first quarter. The percent collected is our year-to-date collected as a percentage of our budget, and then the remaining balance is what's left to collect over the course of the year. So you'll see the same format in all of the following charts throughout the presentation. Our tax revenues, the largest tax revenue of the county is our property taxes, which will be collected in second quarter. So the 8% that you see here does reflect our local option sales tax and those title ad valorem taxes. Also in this line item, you'll find our insurance premium tax. While that is collected in the second quarter, it has already occurred. So I'm pleased to let you know that out of our budget of $3.3 million for collecting that tax, our actual proceeds were $3.6 million. Our charges for services contain our school resource officer reimbursements and prisoner housing fees and other service fees. And that 15% is on par for first quarter. Intergovernmental, you'll see at 93%. That budget is largely made up of the LMIG grant. The budget originally for the LMIG grant was 750,000, and we did actually receive 857,000, which the board has already voted to amend the budget to account for those additional revenues. Other financing sources is going to be mostly our sale of assets. So in the first quarter, you don't see, well, there's $25 collected. And investment income at 28%. This is one of the line items that I'll watch throughout the year. Historically, in investment income, when we saw that start to grow, we very conservatively budgeted that line item. While this budget is still conservative, it is more of a realistic budget for FY26. So seeing that at 28% collected, I think is a good indicator, and we'll continue to watch that one throughout the year. Expenditures for general fund first quarter are at 8.2 million, at 17.5% spent. In the first quarter, we do have our annual property and liability insurance, as well as annual renewals of software agreements that a majority of them come at the beginning of the year and cover the remainder of the year. So you'll see those included in the 8.2 million. We do have lower capital outlay expenditures in the first quarter than we typically do. We did receive some of our vehicles in the very end of prior year. So those capital outlay percentages will stay lower than usual for the remainder of the year. Our debt service expenditures are at 2% spent. Typically, we do have a debt service payment in the first quarter. However, the 2016 series bond for Parkway Boulevard was paid in full last year. So you don't see that debt service expenditure in the first quarter. And looking at the expenses by department, I kind of like to see ideally around 22 to 26, 27% in the first quarter. So I'll kind of go over some items that are outside of those variances, since we can't unfortunately spend everything evenly throughout the year. Of note, in finance, at 16% of budget, typically finance is higher in the first quarter as a percentage of their budget. But I mentioned the debt savings that we have in first quarter. That debt savings has been budgeted in finance to be transferred to our capital fund as part of our project assigned fund balance. That will occur in the last quarter of the fiscal year, so that percentage is lower than you would typically see. For juvenile courts at 43%, we do have an annual contract that we pay in the first quarter for the juvenile court judge. And Superior Court at 31% does include our payments for the public defender, who is paid in advance. So you do see advanced payments in the first quarter for a future period. And the district attorney's office at 4%, they just have unspent funds in their budget. We did include this year one personnel position that would be reimbursed to Athens Clarke County, and as of today, we still don't have any expenditures for that line item. This is the remaining list of the other departments. In Public Works, Public Safety, and in Community Development, all three of those departments do have other financing that they provide to other funds. For example, for E911, sanitation, or special facilities. If those funds are needed, and during the fourth quarter is when we would see those transfer. So their spending is less than budget throughout the year. In Public Works, we also have budgeted for our LMIG paving, as well as some of the LRA projects that Jody mentioned. Those projects are larger in dollars, so we're looking at closer to $2 million that's budgeted for, and once that paving can begin, then those funds would be spent. In IT, we're at 30%. That's the department that holds some of those larger software contracts that are paid annually at the beginning of the year. And also of note, in community development, that line item also holds our debt service, and we just have not had any of those principal payments that have come due yet in the year. So looking at capital projects from the general fund, the table at the top, those are originally budgeted items in our fiscal year 26 budget. IT network equipment, building improvements at our law enforcement complex, and the small balance to complete infrastructure under Public Works. Those projects are currently unstarted. The infrastructure balance in Public Works has been started for quite some time. We're just carrying that balance in case there's any final costs relating to the Mars Hill improvements. Parks and Recreation has received their utility vehicle, and the quad netting project is pending board approval. And the table at the bottom is going to show the amended items since July the 1st. And we did have a retaining wall at Herman C. Michael. This is actually a transfer from their operations into capital so that we could classify that project correctly. And we also have the vehicles that are budgeted from general fund, which included 1 for law enforcement and 4 for school resource officers, of which have been received. And from our fleet maintenance department, received the F-350 and the F-750 dump truck, also budgeted for, but at this time has not been procured. Right, in our capital fund, these are projects that we budgeted for. We have county facilities, of which we have not used those funds at this time. And for E911, we have their desk console setup and their Viber communications upgrade, both of which are in process. We also have a list of projects for you and a few additional slides that show those multi-year projects that roll forward into the current fiscal year. We will first look at the sales tax collections and related projects there. So for our local option sales tax, we have collected $2.9 million, which is an increase of 5% over same quarter last year. And we are on target to meet the budgeted revenues of $12 million. Special purpose local option sales tax, we have collections of $3.3 million, which is also an increase of 5.23% over prior year. And on target to meet the budget here is $9.2 million. And this budget is based off not anticipated collections, but budgeted projects so that we can have a balanced budget. As we bring additional projects to the board for approval, we also adjust that revenue. And T-SPLOST distributions for our transportation special purpose at $3.1 million, a 6.15% increase over prior year, and also on target to meet the budget of $12.8 million. With all of our sales tax funds, we continue to see that consistent growth over prior period. Also watching that just to make sure that that growth doesn't flatten out or change course to ensure that we are going to meet those FY26 budget set. SPLOST projects, we have an original budget items again on top and amendments on the bottom. We have received the law enforcement vehicles, fire equipment, and completed paving at station number 1 for the fire station. And we still have 3 tanker trucks for which we intend to order, but know that they won't arrive this year, as well as a budget for paving in spring. And items that were amended by the board include access control, Veterans Park Gym and Fitness Center improvements. These are the ceiling upgrades. Courthouse generator replacement, design for the Civic Center roof system, and Daniels Bridge Veterans Park lift station equipment, all of which are currently in process. In T-SPLOST, we have our paving and related services. Also within T-SPLOST, we have our intersection safety, which includes Snows Mill and Lane Creek, Union Church, North High Shoals, Astondale, and Collin Ferry roundabouts that have current expenditures in the first quarter of the fiscal year. And amended is the LMIG resurfacing for FY26, and those were actually funds remaining from previous year's paving that we amended the budget to use in the current fiscal year. So I mentioned multi-year projects. This is the list of projects that you approve when we approve budget amendments for the life of a project. These are projects out of general fund and grant funds and capital that have moved into FY26, all of which are in process. Astondale Collin Ferry roundabout not started. While the roundabout process is started, the construction funds just haven't been used to date. So from the general fund, we have the IT call manager upgrade and the multi-intersection design project with a small balance of $26,000 coming from general fund balance. We have the IT cybersecurity grant funded from our grant funds. And the Union Church New High Shoals Roundabout and Astondale Column Ferry Roundabout funding from grant funds received in prior year. All of the remaining projects that you see listed here are from the capital fund, and the amounts that are listed are the amounts that rolled into the current year's budget. And all of the projects listed on this page are covered by SPLOST or T-SPLOST. So since rolling these budgets forward, we've completed the law enforcement vehicle upfitting. This was not from the most recent purchase, but from the prior two purchases. And we've also received the fire department's tanker truck and the FY25 LMIG funds that rolled forward into FY26. That project has been completed. All of the other projects remain in process. Our Water Resources Department, which is our largest enterprise fund, for first quarter revenues are at $5 million. Water and sewer sales are on target. We have seen capacity and connection fees collected at 55% and 48% to budget. Those aren't fees that we collect all year. They're fees as new customers are connected. So whether that continues into future quarters and we meet that budget maybe more quickly early on in the year doesn't necessarily mean that we would exceed that revenue. It also includes a contribution of $250,000 from a developer that's related to one of the construction projects. And expenses for first quarter are at $3.2 million, right at 17% expended. And since we're only talking about the water and sewer departments within the Water Resources Fund, I like to kind of show you the classification of expenses used. So if you see personnel, purchase services and supplies are between 18 and 20%, so on target for first quarter within their budget. Capital budget of 3.1, the expenses we've incurred so far are mostly engineering costs. The debt service does include the principal balance that was paid on the 2017 debt during the first quarter. And you can see again there, 16.9% expended for the year in first quarter. This is the original approved capital listing for the Water Resources Department containing engineering services. Our philosophy with it was that we would budget for some of those preliminary costs, and as we move forward with those projects, those constructions would then be presented to the board for approval. So these are the items that have been amended so far. We have the Rocky Branch Lift Station and Force Main construction, which is in process, and we are funding that project from their collected capacity reserves. Project design services is an amendment of the original slide, the engineering services and an updated cost analysis of what those projects were going to entail. We've added acquisition services to the Highway 441 collector line project, and a change order was amended for the Bear Creek plant expansion. And these projects are in addition to these two items that rolled forward from prior year, the Epps Bridge Parkway collection line upgrade, and those are design services, as well as the Bear Creek plant expansion balance that was remaining at the end of fiscal year 25. That concludes the update, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments if you have them.
Any questions for Melissa on this item? Thank you. Next item is to discuss and consider the Farmland Preservation Committee recommendation. Ed?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Thad Patchett, Chairman of the Farmland Preservation Committee. First, I want to thank the Commissioners and our program partners for their continued support. I'm joined tonight by Demetrius Jordan, Executive Director of the Athens Land Trust here in Athens. To kind of give you a quick program overview, kind of what's going on this year. The committee, we took a slightly different approach, which focused more on education and outreach this year. We held two public events, one being at the Nedza farm. It was a easement closing celebration.
you know, I know Commissioner Harden and you, Chairman Daniel, attended that event. Certainly appreciate that support. In that event, we invited the public again to kind of learn more about the preservation program, and more importantly, to talk to someone who's firsthand gone through the program. I think that was very valuable in the NEDSA, Mr. and Miss NEDSA. The second event that we held was at the Oconee Farmers Market at Wire Park. Again, aimed at answering any questions about the program and to speak with potential landowners interested in the program. Both events had great turnouts, and we had several interested participants and a lot of good conversation that came out of that. To the application update this year, after we kind of closed or cut off the application period, we had one landowner submit a formal application. Just recently, the committee in Athens Land Trust conducted a farm visit. And, you know, we as a committee normally do a ranking very similar to the NRCS statewide ranking. A lot of times we do that if we have multiple interested farms and pick the highest ranked one. In this case, this year we had only one, but did that just as a due process there. The farm, I know I provided information on this. This farm located just south of Bishop is a special farm. One of the reasons it is special because it does create a corridor of protected farmland in this area, nearly contiguous with other farms that have already been protected in this program, which again will, you know, give it a little bump on the statewide ranking. But I've again provided that those documentations and maps and all that to you guys. Before I conclude, I just want to take a moment, you know, to recognize the life and legacy of Russ Page, who recently passed on October 25th. I did not know Mr. Page personally, but I do understand I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today if it wasn't for him. You know, it's not without his forward-thinking love for farming and dedication to Oconee County and the creation of this program is kind of where I am, and I'm truly honored to play a small part in continuing his vision and legacy. So happy to answer any questions if any arise, but yeah, certainly again appreciate the support.
Any questions?
Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Then we just need a motion to accept the recommendation of the committee.
So move.
A motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit about SPLOST 27. So we're looking at a referendum amount of $90,434,289. We've set our budget to be 75 million. So the spending we're putting out there is based on 75 million. As more comes in, we'll adjust. Of that, Watkinsville will get 7.7%, which will be between 5.8 and 7 million. Bogart receives 3.17%, which is 2.3 to 2.8 million. North High Shoals will receive 1.32%, which is 990,000 up to 1.1. And Bishop will receive 0.79%, which is 592,000 up to 714,000. We're planning to hold the election on May the 19th, 2026. We're working toward having we're going to have our mayor's meeting on December 15th of this year. Hope to have our IGAs completed in January and do the BOC election resolution at the end of January. Hopefully the Board of Elections will approve it on February 2nd and then call the election on the 3rd. We will have some town hall meetings and other events talking more about the program. Our areas that the projects are laid out in is first is general obligation bonds. This section will go to pay off our bond debt for Oconee Veterans Park. Currently, that interest rate is 1.395%. We owe roughly $3.75 million there. Also, to pay off the general obligation bond for the administrative building, remaining debt there is a little over 9.5 million. So in total, debt service will be $13,262,847. We have 5 million to 6.2 million, depending on collections, for water resources facilities. This is for renewal and replacement of lines and other infrastructure. So we'll be replacing water lines and sewer lines as they age out. Also some new equipment, and we may use it for some plant upgrades for drinking water, either at Hard Labor Creek or Upper Oconee Water Basin. We're also asking the citizens again for farmland protection money. This will be from 600,000 to 750, depending on collections. So this allows for permanent easements on farmland to prevent future development on the property. So far, Oconee County has protected 923.83 acres. The most recent easement was closed earlier this year. The next area of projects is emergency services, facilities, and equipment. This will continue our replacement of tanker trucks. Some of those are 20 years or older. We'll continue phase replace our fire engines, phase replacement of EMS vehicles, also renewal and replacement of fire and medical equipment, as well as any fire station upgrades that may be needed. Historical and scenic properties. This is locations like the Eagle Tavern, William Daniel House, and Central Schoolhouse. To continue their preservation, we have 650 to 850,000 allocated in that area. Then our general and county facilities, that'll be 5.2 million to 6.5 million. This is renewal and replacement projects on county buildings, security and access upgrades, parking lots, roofs, whatever needs to be replaced on our facilities. So Parks and Recreation is going to get the big bulk of this SPOS if it's approved by the citizens. So we're taking an approach on upgrading and doing a lot of renewal and replacement on our existing parks. We're going to start with Herman C. Michael Park. Some of the items that could be going on there is a gym replacement on the roof, field lighting. The lights out there are the original ones installed. Fencing, field fencing needs to be replaced. We're going to do some stormwater management upgrades, walking trail, playground, signage, and parking area improvements. Then we'll move over to our Bogart Sports Complex. Again, field lighting, field fencing, signage, walking trail, parking, and playground at that location as well. Then Oconee Veterans Park, we'll do some lighting upgrades there, signage, turf upgrades, parking areas, playgrounds, and walking trails again. We have Heritage Park. We'll continue with a master plan on that location, as well as at Dawson Park will be continuation of the master plan there. Currently, we're in engineering's underway for the fields and or phase one, which includes fields, road infrastructure, and pad ready for the gymnasium. Gym is in the concept phase. So for total for parks will be from 24 to $30.8 million, depending on collections there. Our public safety radio system needs some upgrades, radio replacements and pager replacements. We have 6 million allocated out of SPOS for that. Then our sheriff's office vehicles. We have roughly 39 frontline employees. The vehicle life is 4 years, so we're trying to replace 9 vehicles per year. And then we also have built in a 5% increase that kind of got us behind on this last time when the prices increased so quickly. We'll have 4.1 to 5.1 million there for the phase replacement of the sheriff's patrol vehicles. A lot more to come on that. Just want to kind of get that out about what kind of projects we're talking about and the amount of money. So be happy to answer any questions. Very good. That's right. Does any commissioner wish any item to come off the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent item.
Second. We have a motion and second. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. We have no need of executive session, so Commissioner Sacks,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
we are adjourned.